welcome to Make Your Own Wreath session. I'm sorry that I can't join you at the various different workshops and charity events, but hopefully you'll still have some fun with your friends on Zoom or in your gardens, and you'll all have a lovely wreath to put in your front doors this year. First of all, let me run through the equipment that you need. You need a ring. This can be flat or it can be raised. And if you decide to use the raised ring, or if that's what you've been given, you have it this way up, so it's narrower at the top than at the bottom. Then you need some sphagnum moss. This I buy in big bags from Holland, but if you've got moss from your own front lawn, then you're welcome to use that. That's also, very good stuff. You need foliage, your choice. I use fir just because it's easier to explain. And then in terms of tools, you need secateurs, wire cutters with a snub nose end, reel wire, German pins, which are very, very sharp, and you must be careful that these are fully inserted into the moss and are no sharp ends sticking out. The backing plastic, this stops the paint on your front door getting damaged from dampness and keeps the moisture in the wreath so the foliage remains fresher for longer. And then your various different decorations, your choice, whatever you like to put on your front door wreath. It could be baubles, it could be ribbons, lotus seed head, pine cones, cinnamon, whole oranges or sliced oranges. You can also get chilies and star anise and other things, whatever makes you happy basically. And then you need ribbon. Let me show you how to attach the reel wire to the wreath ring. So you've got your end here like this, and all I do is just wrap it round 2 or 3 times so it's held on firmly enough so I can use it to, well obviously that didn't work, to pull tight. You need a tight, taut wire to keep the moss firmly attached to the ring there. So that's me pulling quite hard on the wire and it's not coming undone. Now I'm going to show you how to do the moss to put it on the ring. You section off a little pile of moss, make sure it's got no sharp bits in, take out any rubbishy bits, and you want to make it into a nice tight sausage. So you bring in the sides like this from your pile and then start to roll it up. So you've got a nice sausage like that. Now hold your sausage against the wire frame. Your hand can be on the inside and you want to keep it held tight, and you bring your wire around the outside of the sausage and pull it tight into the frame so it's really firmly held on there, no loose bits. Well, I mean loose like that doesn't matter, but it's firmly held in place. Now carry on going round the rest of the ring until there's moss all the way round. We've now gone round the ring once with the moss, and you need to see if there are any thin bits. There's a thin bit here, so all you need to do is take a little bit more moss, find the thin bit and wire that in so it's a nicely even, because all the foliage and the decorations are going to be pinned into this layer, so it has to be firm. Everything else seems fine. So I'm now going to cut the wire off and get rid of the loose end. So take your wire clippers, snip the wire, and all I do is I fold it in and then take it round and then just put the loose end into the moss so there's nothing that will scratch you or your front door. Now you can trim off any long bits of grass or loose bits of moss that are sticking out. You don't want them showing on the final wreath. Right, now let me show you how to apply the backing plastic to the wreath. So you want your plastic to go that way, and you need 2 German pins, one on one side, the other on the other side, firmly into the moss. It should not stick down the way so there are any sharp ends showing. Now fold the plastic down and repeat. Put the pins into the moss, one on each side, like that. Fold the plastic back. So now we've come all the way around the ring, and I'm going to show you how to end it all. You cut the plastic wreath wrap. You can fold it over. And go like this. One either side. Fold it in like that and pin it into the moss, and then you don't see the pins. Now that the wreath ring is now mossed and backed, we can move on to the foliage. Now, to maximise the amount of foliage you can get from one branch of fir, it's important to consider where you're cutting. You want to have down the central part of your ring, you want your prime, your best bits of foliage, the nicest, the most even pieces. On the inside of the ring, you want your small bits of foliage that will just hide the moss but not fill up all the void. And on the outside of the ring, you want your nice shaped bits, but they're not as nice as the premium bits. If you think of those as A, B and C. So if I take a branch of fir, we need to consider where to cut. So if I cut here, I would consider that an A piece. A smaller side shoot might be a B piece, and then a nice chunky single piece would be the central layer, and that would be my C. So I work through the whole branch, snipping my bits of foliage and putting them into the correct heaps. The more even you can make your foliage, the neater the final ring will look. It doesn't have to be blue fir. You can use other sorts of fir. You can use ivy. You can use leaves that you've gathered from the wild, if you got the farmer's permission, or from your own garden. And you gradually prep it all. And once it's all ready, I can show you what to do. We now need to reattach the reel wire onto the ring. You can go around a couple of times. Again, test it to make sure it's firmly attached by pulling hard. So this one is staying on. So now we need to take an A piece, a big central piece, a smaller side piece, and an inner piece. And this is how I do it. So I hold the 3 ends like that, and I take the reel wire tightly so everything is held firmly, so that when it's shaken, if for some reason you're in a windy area, the foliage can't be knocked out by the wind or by people slamming doors or just general life. So now I go for the next layer, a similar size big central piece, angled at the same sort of angle, an inner piece and an outer piece. You shouldn't really be able to see any moss when it's in place, and if you do see any moss, you can take a single piece and just fill up the gap. Again, now you take the real wire around the base of the stems again. You should not take it over the material you've already done. You don't want it to be held firmly all the way along, just the ends. And then you keep on going round the ring until all the foliage is applied. I'm now going to show you how I make the hook to hold the ribbon in place for the door. I take a strong piece of stub wire, I fold it in half like that. Then I take the stub wire, put the two loose ends in so they're almost all the way through, and then I fold the U end up like that. So the weight of the wreath holds the bent wire in place. Let me show you now how I wire up my various different decorations that I'm going to use. This is a pine cone. I take the stub wire, I fold it round the base of the pine cone, in between the various different sort of pieces. Then I take my snub nose pliers and I twist it like that. So that basically is a double leg mount. To wire the cinnamon, I might have a nice chunky piece of cinnamon like this, or I might have two pieces of cinnamon that I've hot glued together. I take my stub wire, fold it round the cinnamon stick, and again twist until I've got my double leg mount. Let me show you how to wire a lotus seed head. These, again, I take my wire, I feed it through the sort of fairly fragile back of the seed head. I fold it through. Now I hold the wire on this one because if you apply too much force to the seed head, it splits. Again, I twist it. But I'm much more careful with these because they break easily. Orange slices, I always like to double these up. I have a small piece in front of a larger piece, so I get texture. Feed it through the pulp area of the dried fruit. Fold it. Again, I support the wire before I twist it so I don't break the fragile pith. And then I twist the wire to get my double leg mount. With the dried oranges or limes, again, what I do, I take my wire, I feed it through the slits, and I bring it up, fold it, and then twist. If you're having problems getting it through the central piece of dried fruit, sometimes you have to use the blade of a knife or a scissor just to cut it, because sometimes it just is too tough to get the wire through. I've marked the central point of my wreath with the ribbon, so this is just attached to the hook just for the purposes of decoration. I know in my head, and I have tried laying the various different wired decorations up, and I've laid them out. I try to work in groups of 3s or 5s, and I would like to have normally a bigger display at the bottom. I normally put my ribbon at the top, the big bow at the top. Then I like to have, say, another set of decorations at 3 o'clock and another at 9 o'clock. And then I'll fill in these bits here with more, and I'll go around the side and on the inside with other material. So first of all, now I know I'm going to put my big orange here and my pine cones there as my initial placements around which I will work the rest of the design. I lay them out so that I know where they're going to go, and then I will just move them aside, and I take my single leg mount, the two legs hold them together, and I push them through, past the fir, through the moss, out on the backing. And when they come out, I fold them back, the sharp points back into the moss. So ultimately there's going to be nothing to scratch the door. There should be no sharp edges. So that's one wired in place. So if that's at roughly sort of 3 o'clock, I need another one at 9 o'clock. Again, I do the same. I push the single leg mount, the double leg mount through the moss, through the backing, and fold the loose ends back in on themselves so they can't fall out. So I've got that there. Is going to be my orange. I'm going to push that through. And I fold the mount back in on itself. And then I will keep on going until the whole wreath is full. And the more even and neat you can make it, the nicer it'll look probably as an end result. So I will see you shortly when I finish decorating it. Right, let me show you now how I make my ribbon. I take the ribbon of your choice, which in this case is a taffeta ribbon edged with wire so it holds its shape. And then I fold it so I've got 2 complete loops and 2 loose ends. So that's 1, 2. So 2 loops and a loose end, 2 loose loops and a loose end. Then I snip. So I've got a shape that looks like that. Then I scrunch up the middle central part so the pieces are the same size each side. And I take another piece of ribbon and I fold it round, tie a basic knot. So I have that shape. Then with the loose pieces, I snip it into a V. I've got 2 nice pieces like that. I insert my wire. You can do this actually in the knotting process. It does make it easier. Like that. Fold it back on itself and just tighten it up. And then what we do is we just fluff that out a bit like that. And do the same on this loop. And then we do the same on the other side. So we've got 1, 2, and then we can use that like this. So there we have quite a neat, tidy bow. And then with the pin, the mount, you want to, well in my case I like the ribbon at the top. I use my mount, just work out exactly where the centre is. I put it through the wreath like this, press in with my thumb, fold the loose wires back into the moss like that. This was attached to the hook. Fluff it up again, just in case it's got a bit squished in the process. That's the completed wreath, and thank you for watching me this afternoon. Good luck with your own door wreaths. Thank you, bye-bye.